The starship Artemis, an epitome of human engineering, gleamed under the artificial lights of the docking bay, poised for its maiden voyage into the unknown. The crew, a hand-picked ensemble of the most capable minds and bodies, prepared for a journey that promised both discovery and danger. At the helm stood Captain Laura Mitchell, a pilot whose reputation for navigating the most treacherous of paths was well known. As the Artemis launched from its cradle on Earth, the crew marveled at the boundless cosmos that stretched before them. The first day of their mission was spent running system checks, establishing routines, and settling into the rhythm of space travel. Spirits were high, and the excitement was palpable. "All systems are green, Captain," reported Lieutenant Harris from the navigation console. "Excellent," Laura responded, her voice steady and confident. "Let's proceed to our first waypoint." The Artemis glided through space with grace, its advanced AI named Hestia managing the ship's course with precision. The crew settled into their roles, each member performing their duties with the efficiency born of rigorous training. But space, with its infinite mysteries, is never without surprises. As the Artemis cruised through a seemingly empty sector, an unexpected energy surge hit the ship. Lights flickered, consoles sparked, and the once calm environment erupted into chaos. "Report!" Laura barked, gripping the armrests of her command chair. "We've encountered an unknown energy field," Harris replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "It's disrupting all our systems. Hestia is down." Laura's mind raced. The AI's sudden failure left the Artemis vulnerable. The ship began to shudder, and the crew could feel the pull of gravity shifting erratically. "We're losing altitude!" shouted Engineer Park from his station. "If we don't regain control, we'll crash." Laura's training kicked in. "Manual controls," she ordered. "I'm taking over." The bridge fell silent as the crew exchanged nervous glances. Manual piloting was a relic of the past, a skill rarely needed with the advent of advanced AI. But Laura had insisted on maintaining her proficiency, a decision that now seemed prophetic. She moved swiftly to the pilot's seat, her hands finding the familiar controls. The ship's systems, once responsive to the slightest command, now fought against her, sluggish and erratic. The Artemis was plummeting towards a planet that had not been on their charts. "Brace for impact!" Laura's voice cut through the tension. She adjusted the thrusters, attempting to stabilize their descent. The planet's atmosphere created a barrier of heat and pressure, shaking the ship violently. The crew held on, their trust placed entirely in Laura's hands. The surface of the planet rushed up to meet them, a barren expanse of rocky terrain. Laura's focus was absolute. Every muscle in her body was tense as she fought the controls, guiding the Artemis through a controlled crash landing. The ship hit the ground with a bone-jarring impact, skidding across the surface before coming to a halt. Smoke filled the cabin, and the groan of stressed metal echoed through the hull. For a moment there was silence, the crew too stunned to move. "Is everyone okay?" Laura called out, her voice strained but clear. One by one, the crew responded, confirming their status. They were shaken, bruised, but alive. Laura unstrapped herself and moved to help her crew, her mind already assessing their next steps. "Lieutenant Harris, I need a status report," she said, her tone commanding. Harris, his face smeared with soot, checked the readouts. "We've sustained significant damage, Captain. Life support is stable for now, but we're on limited power. Communications are down and Hestia is offline." Laura nodded, her mind working rapidly. "All right, we need to secure the ship and assess our resources. Park, start evaluating the damage. Ilara, check on the injured. Harris, help me set up a perimeter. We don't know what's out there." The crew moved with purpose, their fear tempered by Laura's decisive leadership. As they exited the ship, the planet's harsh landscape greeted them. Jagged rocks and barren plains stretched out in all directions, the environment alien and unforgiving. "Keep your eyes open," Laura warned. "We're not alone out here." As night fell, the crew huddled together, the Artemis a silent sentinel against the unknown. Strange sounds echoed in the darkness and unease settled over them. Laura stayed awake, her gaze fixed on the stars. They had survived the descent, but the true challenge lay ahead. The anomaly that had brought them here, the planet's unknown dangers, and the task of repairing their ship weighed heavily on her mind. But as she looked at her crew, their trust and reliance on her evident, Laura felt a surge of determination. "We'll make it through this," she vowed quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "We have to." And with that, Captain Laura Mitchell prepared to face whatever the unknown had in store for them. The first light of dawn cast long shadows across the rocky terrain, illuminating the battered form of the Artemis. Captain Laura Mitchell stood outside the ship, surveying the landscape with a mixture of determination and wariness. The previous night's strange noises still echoed in her mind, a reminder that they were far from alone on this desolate planet. "Captain, I've got a preliminary damage report," Engineer Park called out as he approached. His face was streaked with grease and fatigue. Laura turned to him, her expression hardening as she prepared for the worst. "Give it to me straight." "The hull took a significant hit during the landing, but it's intact for now. The primary power core is stable, but we're running on auxiliary power. The communications array is fried, and Hestia is completely unresponsive. We're essentially cut off and blind." Laura nodded, processing the information. "What about the life support systems?" "Those are holding steady. We've got enough oxygen for a couple of weeks if we ration it carefully." "All right," Laura said, her voice firm. "We need to prioritize repairing the communications array and restoring some basic functionality to Hestia. We can't stay here indefinitely." Lieutenant Harris joined them, a datapad in hand. "I've scouted the immediate area, Captain. There's nothing but rocks and dust as far as the eye can see. No signs of water or vegetation." Laura sighed. "We need to find resources to survive until we can get the ship operational again. Gather a team. We're going to explore further." Harris nodded and went off to assemble the exploration team. Laura watched him go, her mind already planning their next steps. She knew that survival depended on their ability to adapt and find solutions in this hostile environment. A few hours later, Laura led a small team, including Harris and Dr. Alara, into the unknown. They trekked across the rocky expanse, their suits' environmental systems filtering the thin, dusty air. The landscape was barren, lifeless, and eerily silent. "Stay alert," Laura cautioned, her eyes scanning the horizon. "We don't know what we might encounter out here." As they ventured further, they stumbled upon a series of caves carved into a rocky hillside. The entrance to the largest cave was partially hidden by fallen debris. Laura signaled for the team to stop. "Let's check it out," she said. "There might be something useful inside." The cave was dark and damp, a stark contrast to the dry surface. Their flashlights cut through the gloom, revealing ancient rock formations and, unexpectedly, remnants of what appeared to be a long-abandoned camp. "Look at this," Harris said, kneeling beside a rusted metal crate. He pried it open, revealing tools and equipment that, while old, might still be functional. Dr. Alara examined a series of markings on the cave walls. "These look like they were made by an intelligent species. Maybe whoever was here before left in a hurry." Laura's eyes narrowed. "Or something forced them to leave." They gathered the tools and continued deeper into the cave. The air grew colder, and the walls seemed to close in around them. Suddenly, Harris's flashlight beam caught a glint of metal. "Captain, over here!" he called out. Laura approached, her breath catching in her throat. Embedded in the rock face was a panel of advanced technology, vastly different from anything they had on the Artemis. She ran her fingers over the smooth surface, trying to decipher its purpose. "This could be what we need," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of hope and curiosity. "Park needs to see this. It might help us repair the ship." They carefully documented the panel and gathered as much of the old equipment as they could carry. The return trip to the Artemis was tense, each member of the team keenly aware of the strange noises that seemed to follow them through the cave. Back at the ship, Engineer Park examined the findings with wide-eyed fascination. "This technology is incredible, Captain. If we can integrate it with our systems, it might just give us the boost we need." Laura allowed herself a small smile. "Then let's get to work. We don't have much time." The crew threw themselves into the task, their collective expertise and determination transforming the Artemis into a hive of activity. Laura coordinated their efforts, her leadership a steadying force in the midst of uncertainty. As night fell once again, the strange noises returned, louder and more insistent. Laura knew that they were racing against time and unknown dangers, but for the first time since their crash, she felt a glimmer of hope. Captain, if we can get the communications array operational, we might be able to contact Earth, Harris said, his eyes reflecting the same determination she felt. Laura nodded. Then that's our priority. Keep at it, everyone. She stood watch outside the ship, her hand resting on the hilt of her sidearm. The stars above were cold and distant, a reminder of the vast expanse that separated them from home. But Laura Mitchell was a survivor, and she would do everything in her power to see her crew safely back to Earth. As the night wore on, the strange noises grew closer, and Laura knew that their fight for survival had only just begun. The days blended together as the crew of the Artemis worked tirelessly to repair their ship. The barren planet, with its unyielding landscape and eerie noises, was a constant reminder of their precarious situation. Despite the harsh conditions, Captain Laura Mitchell's leadership and the crew's collective resilience kept hope alive. "Captain, I think we've made a breakthrough," Engineer Park announced one morning, his face lighting up with a rare smile. Laura looked up from the makeshift command station they had set up outside the Artemis. "What have you got, Park?" "That technology we found in the cave," Park said, excitement evident in his voice. "It's some kind of power amplifier. If we integrate it with our systems, it might just give us enough power to jumpstart Hestia and the communications array." Laura's heart raced. "Let's do it. We need to get back in touch with Earth." The crew gathered around as Park and his team carefully installed the alien device into the ship's power grid. The process was delicate and fraught with risks, but Park's skill and determination were unwavering. Hours passed, and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the landscape. The crew's anticipation grew as Park made the final adjustments. "All set, Captain," he said, stepping back from the control panel. "Ready when you are." Laura took a deep breath and nodded. "All right, everyone, stand by, initiating power-up sequence." The ship hummed to life, lights flickering as the systems came online. Laura watched the readings closely, her hands steady on the controls. Suddenly, the familiar voice of Hestia, the ship's AI, filled the air. "Systems online, diagnostics complete. Welcome back, Captain." A cheer erupted from the crew, relief and joy evident on their faces, but Laura's focus remained sharp. "Hestia, establish a communications link with Earth. Priority 1. "Understood, Captain," Hestia responded, attempting to establish a connection. Minutes felt like hours as they waited, the tension palpable. Then, a crackling voice came through the speakers. "Artemis, this is Earth. We read you. What is your status?" Laura felt a surge of emotion but kept her voice steady. "Earth, this is Captain Laura Mitchell. We've crash-landed on an uncharted planet. Our ship has sustained significant damage, but we're working on repairs. We need assistance." "Understood, Artemis. We're relaying your coordinates to a rescue team. Help is on the way. Hang in there." The link went silent, and the crew erupted in cheers once more. Laura allowed herself a moment of relief. They had done it. They had re-established contact with Earth. But their elation was short-lived. As night fell, the strange noises grew louder and more insistent. Laura posted guards around the perimeter, her instincts telling her that danger was imminent. "Captain," Harris whispered, approaching her with a look of concern, "we need to be prepared for whatever's out there. The noises are getting closer." Laura nodded. "Agreed. Everyone stays on high alert. We don't know what we're dealing with, but we won't be caught off guard." The following day, the crew continued their repairs, but an uneasy tension hung in the air. The strange noises seemed to follow them, growing more aggressive with each passing hour. Laura could feel the weight of responsibility bearing down on her, but she refused to let fear cloud her judgment. In the afternoon, while scavenging for additional resources near the cave system, they encountered the native species again. This time, the creatures were larger and more organized, attacking with a ferocity that took the crew by surprise. "Defensive positions!" Laura shouted, drawing her sidearm. The crew formed a tight circle, their makeshift weapons at the ready. The battle was fierce and chaotic. The creatures were relentless, their alien forms moving with a speed and agility that tested the crew's resolve. Despite their exhaustion, Laura's leadership and the crew's training saw them through. They managed to repel the attackers, but not without casualties. Dr. Alara worked tirelessly to tend to the wounded, her medical expertise saving lives. But the losses weighed heavily on the crew. The reality of their situation had never been starker. "We can't keep this up," Harris said, frustration and fatigue evident in his voice. "We need to get off this planet." Laura placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We will, Harris. The rescue team is on its way. We just have to hold on a little longer." As night fell once more, Laura stood watch, her eyes scanning the horizon. The strange noises had subsided, but the threat was ever present. She knew they were living on borrowed time, but her resolve was unshakable. "Captain?" Hestia's voice broke the silence. "Sensors indicate a large object approaching from orbit. It appears to be a rescue vessel." Laura's heart leaped. "Can you confirm it's from Earth?" "Affirmative. It is broadcasting Earth Alliance identification codes." Relief washed over her. "Everyone, the rescue team is here. Prepare for extraction." The crew moved with renewed energy, gathering their equipment and preparing to leave the planet that had tested them beyond measure. As the rescue ship descended, Laura took one last look at the barren landscape, a mixture of relief and determination in her eyes. "Let's go home," she said, leading her crew towards the waiting vessel. The rescue ship's crew greeted them warmly, their presence a lifeline that the Artemis crew had desperately needed. As they ascended into orbit, Laura felt the weight of the past weeks lift from her shoulders. Back on the Artemis, Engineer Park and his team worked with the rescue crew to stabilize the ship for transport. The alien technology they had found would be studied and could potentially lead to breakthroughs in understanding the universe. As they made their way back to Earth, Laura reflected on their journey. They had faced unimaginable adversity and had come out stronger. The experience had bonded them in ways she could never have anticipated. Captain Laura Mitchell looked out at the stars, a smile playing on her lips. They had survived against all odds, and now, with the vast expanse of space before them, she knew that humanity's spirit of exploration and resilience would continue to drive them forward. The Artemis and its crew had proven that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could shine brightly, lighting the way for future generations. The return journey to Earth aboard the rescue vessel, Nova, provided a brief respite for the crew of the Artemis. The familiar hum of the ship's systems and the comforting presence of Earth Alliance personnel brought a sense of relief. However, the crew knew their ordeal was far from over. The Artemis, their ship and home, needed extensive repairs before it could return to active duty. Captain Laura Mitchell spent her time on the Nova coordinating with both her crew and the rescue ship's engineers. Her thoughts often drifted back to the alien technology they had discovered. She was convinced it held the key to not only their survival, but potentially advancing humanity's spacefaring capabilities. "Captain, we've established a secure connection with the Artemis," Engineer Park reported one morning, his face illuminated by the screen's glow. "We should be able to stabilize the ship and tow it back to Earth." Laura nodded, her gaze fixed on the schematics. "Good work, Park. Make sure all essential systems are prioritized. We need to ensure the Artemis can make the journey without any further issues." The crew worked tirelessly, their focus unwavering. Despite the comforts of the Nova, they were eager to return to their ship, to the vessel that had been their home and symbol of their resilience. As they neared Earth, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The Artemis, now stabilized and securely tethered to the Nova, was ready for the final leg of its journey. Laura stood on the bridge of the rescue vessel, watching as the blue and green sphere of Earth grew larger. "Captain, we're approaching Earth orbit," the pilot announced. "Understood," Laura replied, her voice steady. "Let's bring her home." The Nova and the Artemis entered Earth's atmosphere, greeted by the dazzling lights of the orbital stations. The sight was both familiar and overwhelming, a stark contrast to the desolate planet they had left behind. As they docked, the crew was met with cheers and applause from the station personnel, their ordeal now a tale of heroism and survival. Back on Earth, the crew of the Artemis was hailed as heroes. The media and public celebrated their resilience, but for Laura and her team, the real work was just beginning. The Artemis needed to be fully repaired and upgraded, and the alien technology they had found required extensive study. In the weeks that followed, Laura and her crew worked closely with Earth Alliance scientists and engineers. The alien technology, once a mystery, began to reveal its secrets. It was a power amplifier, unlike anything humanity had ever seen, capable of vastly increasing energy efficiency and output. "This could revolutionize space travel," Park said one evening as he and Laura studied the data. We could travel farther and faster than ever before. Laura nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. We need to ensure that the Artemis is at the forefront of this new technology. Our experiences out there have shown us just how crucial it is to be prepared for anything. The days were long and exhausting, but the crew's determination never wavered. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger for it. The Artemis, once a symbol of their struggle, was being transformed into a beacon of hope and progress. Months passed, and the Artemis was ready for its next mission. The ship gleamed with new enhancements, its systems integrated with the alien technology that had saved them. The crew, now seasoned veterans, stood ready to embark on their next journey. "Captain, all systems are go," Lieutenant Harris reported, his voice filled with pride. Laura stood on the bridge, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and anticipation. "Thank you, Harris. Let's take her out." The Artemis lifted off, the powerful new engines propelling it smoothly into space. The crew watched as Earth grew smaller, the familiar sight now a reminder of how far they had come. As they cruised through the stars, Laura couldn't help but reflect on their journey. They had faced unimaginable adversity, but their spirit and determination had carried them through. Now, with the Artemis equipped with advanced technology, they were ready to explore the farthest reaches of the cosmos. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," Hestia announced. "Patch it through," Laura replied. "Artemis, this is Earth Command. We have a new mission for you. There's an anomaly in a distant star system that we need you to investigate." Laura smiled, her heart racing with excitement. "Understood, Earth Command. We're on our way." As the Artemis set a course for the new mission, Laura felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced the unknown and come out stronger. Now, with the vast expanse of space before them, the possibilities were endless. The Artemis and its crew were ready for whatever lay ahead, their journey a testament to the indomitable human spirit. They had proven that even with a 0% survival chance, humanity could overcome any obstacle, and now they were poised to push the boundaries of exploration even further. With the Artemis fully operational and equipped with advanced alien technology, the crew embarked on their new mission. The ship's enhanced engines hummed with newfound power as they set course for a distant star system where an anomaly had been detected. The vastness of space stretched before them, an endless frontier filled with both peril and promise. "Captain, we're on course for the anomaly," Lieutenant Harris reported. "Estimated arrival in 3 days." "Excellent," Laura responded, her eyes fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. "Keep monitoring our systems, and let's make sure we're ready for anything." The crew fell into their routines, their confidence bolstered by their previous survival. However, the unknown anomaly stirred a mixture of curiosity and caution among them. They had learned the hard way that space was full of surprises. 3 days later, the Artemis approached the coordinates of the anomaly. The readings on their instruments were unlike anything they had encountered before, a swirl of energies and distortions that defied conventional understanding. "Captain, we're picking up some strange signals," Hestia reported. "It's a combination of multiple frequencies, and I'm unable to decipher it." "Put it on the main screen," Laura ordered. The bridge lights dimmed as the main screen displayed a chaotic mix of colors and patterns, a visual representation of the signals emanating from the anomaly. The crew watched in awe and trepidation. "What do you make of it, Park?" Laura asked. Park studied the data intently. "It's like nothing we've seen before. This could be a natural phenomenon, or it could be artificial. We need to get closer to analyze it further." "Proceed with caution," Laura instructed. "Take us in slowly." As the Artemis inched closer, the anomaly's effects became more pronounced. The ship's sensors struggled to maintain accurate readings, and the crew felt a strange sense of disorientation. "Something's not right," Harris said, his hands gripping the controls. "The anomaly is affecting our systems." Laura's mind raced. "Hestia, initiate a detailed scan. We need to understand what we're dealing with." The AI responded promptly, launching a series of probes into the anomaly. The data they sent back was both fascinating and alarming. "Captain, the probes are detecting signs of an artificial structure within the anomaly," Hestia reported. "It's heavily shielded, which is why we couldn't detect it earlier." Laura's eyes narrowed. "An artificial structure? Who could have built it?" Unknown, Hestia replied, but the energy readings suggest it's been here for a very long time. We need to investigate, Laura said, her voice resolute. Prepare a shuttle. Harris, Park, you're with me. The shuttle descended into the heart of the anomaly, the Artemis fading into the background as they approached the mysterious structure. The energy fluctuations grew more intense, and the shuttle's systems strained to compensate. Stay focused, Laura said, her voice cutting through the tension. We're almost there. The structure loomed before them, an immense and ancient construct partially hidden by the swirling energies. As they landed, the shuttle's instruments began to stabilize, the anomaly's interference less pronounced at this closer range. Suit up, Laura ordered. We don't know what we'll find in there. The team donned their environmental suits and exited the shuttle, stepping onto the surface of the structure. The air was thin but breathable, a testament to the advanced technology that maintained the environment. This place is incredible, Park said, his voice filled with awe. The architecture, the materials, it's unlike anything we've seen. Laura led the way, her eyes scanning their surroundings. The structure was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, filled with strange symbols and artifacts. As they ventured deeper, the sense of being watched grew stronger. Stay alert, Laura cautioned. We don't know what or who might be in here. They reached a central chamber, dominated by a massive glowing orb suspended in the air. The orb pulsed with energy, casting an eerie light across the room. Captain, this must be the source of the anomaly, Harris said, his eyes wide with fascination. Laura approached the orb cautiously, her hand hovering over her sidearm. Park, can you make sense of this? Park studied the orb, his instruments whirring as they collected data. It's a power source, but it's also a communication device. It's transmitting signals across multiple dimensions. Can we shut it down? Laura asked. Park hesitated. We could, but we need to be careful. Disrupting it could have unforeseen consequences. Laura nodded, her mind racing. Do it. We need to understand what's going on here. Park set to work, his hands moving deftly over the orb's control panel. The energy pulses grew more erratic as he manipulated the controls. Suddenly, the orb emitted a blinding flash of light. The team staggered back, their suits' visors dimming to protect their eyes. When the light faded, they found themselves surrounded by translucent figures, their forms flickering in and out of existence. Who are you? Laura demanded, her voice steady despite the shock. One of the figures stepped forward, its voice resonating in their minds. We are the Guardians. This structure was built to monitor and protect the fabric of reality. Why were we not aware of your presence? Laura asked. Our mission required secrecy, the Guardian explained. But now that you have found us, we must warn you. The anomaly you detected is a rift, a tear in the fabric of space-time. It must be sealed or it will consume everything. Laura felt a chill run down her spine. How do we seal it? The orb you tampered with is the key, the Guardian said. You must stabilize its energy output and reverse the rift. Park, can you do it? Laura asked, turning to her engineer. Park nodded, his face set with determination. I'll need time, but I can do it. Then let's get to work, Laura said. Our survival depends on it. The crew worked tirelessly, guided by the Guardian's knowledge and Park's expertise. The orb's energy was volatile, and the slightest mistake could spell disaster. As they labored, the rift began to close, the anomaly's chaotic energies slowly dissipating. The Guardians watched silently, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Almost there, Park muttered, his hands moving with precision. Just a little more. With a final adjustment, the orb stabilized, its glow becoming steady and calm. The rift sealed, the anomaly fading into nothingness. You did it, Laura said, a wave of relief washing over her. The Guardians stepped forward, their forms more solid now. You have saved your reality. We thank you. Laura nodded. We couldn't have done it without your help. What happens now? You must leave this place, the Guardian said. Our mission continues, but your journey lies elsewhere. The team returned to the shuttle, their hearts lightened by their success. As they ascended back to the Artemis, Laura couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. They had faced the unknown and triumphed, their bond stronger than ever. Back on the Artemis, the crew celebrated their victory. The alien technology they had discovered, combined with their own ingenuity, had allowed them to avert a disaster of cosmic proportions. As the ship cruised through the stars, Laura looked out at the infinite expanse of space. The journey ahead was uncertain, but she knew that with her crew by her side, they could face anything. The Artemis and its crew were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, their spirit and determination shining brightly as they ventured into the unknown frontier.